Okay.
So anyway, welcome, Doc. Maybe, as I said, maybe you can just briefly introduce yourself, and then we'll learn how beavers change the world.
Okay. Well, I'm Doc Bayne. I used to be a ranger at Sterling Forest, and that's where I pretty much learned about beavers, and I'm going to share that with you. I did retire from the park, and I am now the president of the Friends of Sterling Forest at the park. So we run a friends group, and we're doing a lecture or a hike every Sunday, and plus research. It's kind of on hold right now. We'll see what happens in spring. And the cool thing is the West Point chain that was put across the river at West Point during the Revolutionary War. I found that that chain was made in Sterling Forest, and we're working on a National Historic Site because we have found where the chain was actually made. But let's get to beavers. Beavers changed the world. When the Dutch came to this area, one of the things they were looking for were pelts, and they were very happy when they found that there were lots and lots of beavers in this North America. There were not any in Europe because they had all been taken. And what were beavers used for? Well, the pelt of a beaver could be waterproof. They have like a layer of hair underneath the external hair, kind of like a bird has down under their feathers to keep them warm. Well, they also have oil glands, and they rub the fur with this oil so that they could swim in the water and not get wet. Well, that was really great because in Europe, they had taken the beavers to make raincoats. So this is a typical male raincoat, and this is what a female raincoat would have looked like back in the day. And also rain hats, so that you could walk outside and there was a waterproof hat or coat. Now, I had seen some of the beavers when I first started in Sterling Forest, and I was told that multiple beavers would chew a tree down and they would carry mud on their tail. And I asked, where did you hear that? And I was shown this article that was printed in 1738. And you see on the right there are a group of beavers, 6 beavers cutting a tree down. And they also built these fences on their dam and carried mud on their tail. Well, that's not how it happened at all. And I remember the director of the park saying to me, watch for the beavers because they carry mud on their tail. And I was like, no, I don't really think they do that. And here's a picture back from that time period and another picture. But in reality, this is what a beaver looks like. And he's questioning, why do you think I carry mud on my tail? How do you know they are there? When you go in the area where there are swamps or ponds, look around. Now here is a tree on the left side, which has died and the bark is coming off. But over on the right, you can see a tree that's been chewed on. And the beavers chew the bark off. Also, look on the shore and you may see a beaver highway. They make paths. And here's another path into the swamp. And that's their highway. Now, why do beavers chew trees? They actually eat the bark They eat it and digest the sap. They don't eat the wood. But they are our largest rodent. And if you've ever had a pet mouse or a gerbil, you have to give it something to chew because the teeth continue to grow. Here is a tree where all the bark is gone, and they continue to chew, otherwise their teeth will grow up to the top of their head. And this is cool. You can tell if there are baby beavers because on the bottom you can see how they have chewed very low. The baby beavers do that. But also walking by this stream, look what the beavers have done. They cut the trees down so they can take the branches into the water to build their lodge and their dam, and also to have lunch and dinner. Again, look at the base of the trees. That tells you that there are baby beavers because they stand on their hind legs when they chew, and that's pretty short. So the average beaver, here's a older beaver. Look how high this is that he was able to chew that, and all the way up to here. So you can see their teeth marks where they're scraping the bark off, okay, chewing the bark off, and they digest that. It's also good for insects because once they cut the tree down, insects can also drink the sap. Let's have a closer look at how they chew for food, and then because they have to chew or else their teeth will grow to the top of their head until the tree falls over. If you ever get close to a beaver, don't touch it. These could be quite dangerous. Those teeth are very sharp. So imagine if he's not chewing, those lower teeth would just keep on growing. Here's a beaver that I found on the road, and you see the tire track across it. They don't really understand cars. And that's a big female, weighed about 80 pounds. And here is a male, but take a close look at his tail. He had a problem as a young beaver. Somebody came in and chewed his tail. We'll talk about that later. They're pretty active in the water, and if you take a close look at their ears, they can close them off so they can swim and not get water in their ear. And also look at their whiskers. And they can feel the vibration in the pond with those whiskers. So they know if there's another creature in the water. Look at that claw. When they are working to build their lodge and their dam, they will take mud and rocks so they can claw that mud up really good. Look at those nails. And look at that back foot. They can swim really well. And they don't carry dirt on their tail. But they use it as a rudder. And here's that tail of that other beaver that had been attacked. Great rudder. So they can move it back and forth in the water, and that's how they steer themselves. Let's take a look at their lodge. They pile the sticks up with mud on top to pack it in, and that is their home. Now they are active in the winter. If you see a beaver lodge in the winter, you can tell if there's someone in there by looking at the water around it, because they do come out and they will climb up on their lodge. But if you get a chance, walk out to their lodge and take a look at the water around it, and you'll see there's been freshly chewed sticks. They will take the sticks and stick them in the mud around their lodge so they'll have something to eat during the winter. So this is freshly chewed, right? Yes. Now, there are two holes in the lodge. One is a little bit bigger than the other. And, you know, if you turn all the lights out and walk around your house, you pretty much know where everything is. In their lodge is total darkness. And the idea is if another creature comes in, they can escape. And that's what probably happened to that one beaver when someone came in, and we'll show you later who would have come in there. And here's a baby beaver. And I think that somebody had come in and chewed the tail of that other beaver. Inside the lodge, you'll see the stones and the dirt and the sticks. Well, when they build their dam, the water level will rise. And as it rises, it would start to flood inside. So they chew and take pieces down from the ceiling, put it on the floor, and continually raise the floor on the inside of their lodge. Pretty smart. Now here's my dam story. This is the old road that came into Sterling Forest. And if you look right there where that X is, there was a pipe, because on the right-hand side there was a stream. And beavers came in and they clogged that pipe up to start to make their pond. And this dam was actually 300 feet long. Here's a picture from a satellite before. Here's the stream on the right-hand side. And then they put their dam in. So the pipe was about this area. The stream came in here, went through and out the pipe. As soon as they blocked the pipe and built that dam, they built a pond. But the problem was for the park, you couldn't use the road anymore. That's right off of Long Meadow Road, and that was the original road in Sterling. So the park had to come in and chop the dam up. And when they did that, see how it's lowered on the right? And you can see there are sticks, but also mud and rock. And here's a picture after they took the dam out, and that's how it looks today. Another place on Benjamin Meadow Road, I drove down the road one day and I saw this and I said, wait a minute. Remember this rock right here. But down the road, the water was just starting to flow across the road. And I came back later in the day, and here's that rock. The beavers had clogged this pipe up, and then that is what happened. Another section along Long Meadow, there was a stream, and the beavers built a dam on it. To give you an idea of how big it is, there's one of our rangers. And here's a beaver in the winter. We were out doing a hike, and we looked over and there was a beaver just standing there looking at us. What he was doing was checking his dam. They continue to monitor the dam because as long as they have water, they feel safe in their lodge because the lodge is out in the pond. And if you take a close look, you can see the edge where they have come up and checked it. And they do maintenance on it all year long. If you ever get a chance to go to an area where there's a beaver dam, take a walk and look in the water above the dam, and you may see this. This is the waste from a beaver. It's probably about the size of 2 eggs, and it comes out, and that is the chewed component. That's what's left from their digestive, eating the bark. I tried to save these, but I put them in a jar and they just fall apart. In the spring, the dam was down here, and the young beavers, the 2-year-old beavers, start to build a second dam. And here's the second dam being built. You can tell because the water is the same level on both sides. And eventually this was their dam by winter time. So there was a dam up on the top here, and this is the second dam. So many times, if you find a beaver dam that's been there for a long time, go upstream and you might find a series of dams, because after 2 years, the mother beaver kicks the little ones out and they go build their own dam spot. And here we are, the dam in the winter. There's a stream that comes down from here, stream down from here, and one to the left, and they go down, and there is no dam at this time, 1995. 2007, they built a dam, and you can see what's going on. Now we have a pond. So here's the dam. And this was quite a dam. Look at the size of that one. It's another Ranger. And then it kept getting higher and higher. That's me, and the dam at that time was 10 feet high. Pretty amazing. Behind that stream, well, behind that dam, that stream is now turned into a pond. Look at that. This is where I have found beavers in Sterling Forest. This is Greenwood Lake on the left, Sterling Lake, Tuxedo on the right, and Sterling has many, many beavers. Are beavers good or bad? What do you think? Well, if they can take a stream and make it a pond, uh-oh, look what I found in the pond. Remember what City Investing did in Sterling Forest? They built a garden, the Sterling Forest Gardens. Well, near the pond was their overwintering place, and we found this that used to be in the gardens floating in the lake. But back to good or bad. Having now a stream turned into a lake was good for the fish. They're happy to have a better place to sleep, swim, and water snakes. All kinds of reptiles and amphibians move in. They need a lake to survive. So all of these creatures now have places to live. We would always hike to that pond in the spring. It's a great place to visit. All of these creatures live in that pond. And of course, some people or some creatures like to eat fish, so it's great for the eagle. And the muskrat. And the minks and the mussels. Oh, here's the danger to baby beavers. Otters will go into the home and try and grab a baby beaver during the winter. And that's how come that beaver was missing part of its tail. Also, the ones who come to drink the water. All of these creatures need water. So on a hot summer day, that pond would be great to visit. Bobcat, coyote, gray fox, red fox, deer, rabbits, everybody needs some water to drink. And now we even have fishers in the area. And hundreds of insects. Oh, remember Sandy? 2000, 2012? Oh man, there's the dam. After Sandy, that was the dam. Water level used to be up on this rock. It's down about 6 feet. And there's the pond in 2012. No more water. The dam is gone. So just by the beavers building that dam at that perfect spot made the home for all of those other creatures. So beavers are great. One thing with the water missing, you'll see the highways in the pond where the beavers travel. For maintenance, they cut down trees. Well, no, to eat, they cut down the trees. And for maintenance, they cut all the branches off and then swim with the branches to continually work on their lodge and the dam. Here's their lodge, and this is one of the entrances, and here's the other entrance. So the water level would have been up here. And there's beaver highways and no water. This was before and after. Before this hurricane and after. Now the beavers are starting to work on the dam again, building it back. And once that stream is plugged up, the water's coming in. And our pond is back. Now, in the spring, if we can get out there, we will be walking to this pond. So if you guys like to hike, or maybe sneak a canoe in there. There's the lodge. I caught this hiker one day chewing on a tree. He told me that he really liked beavers. But 2013, we're back. Halfway, the top part still would fill with water, but that pond is now back as it was. Everything happens for a reason. Live it, love it, learn from it. Make your smile change the world. Don't let the world change your smile. And thank you for watching.
Okay, well, thanks, Doc. Usual great presentation and pictures. I'm sure people probably have some questions. So
Sure.
if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat.
How do we get back to you guys?
But so while waiting, see if anyone else has a question, do you know after Superstorm Sandy, you think the beavers managed to survive without their pond and come, or would it have been another group that would have moved in?
A lot of fish were gone, um, moved to other parts of the park. It was quite a while before we had the creatures coming back. I'm sure the fish and the frogs and the toads suffered the most.
Okay. And so sometimes when we're out on a paddle, we'll see multiple lodges along the same stream.
That's the kids.
Is that, yeah, is that like the kids moving out and
Yeah.
setting up their own place?
The mom will let the Beavers kids stay for 2 years. And in midsummer of their second year, it's like out.
Okay, so that's why you said the second dam was 2-year-old beavers. So sometimes they'll go build their own dam. Sometimes they'll just build a lodge elsewhere in the same pond.
Right. Once they mate, then they're going to go build their own dam.
Okay, in their own lodge.
Right.
Remember our paddle up at Lake Chodakee? We saw 7 lodges along that stream.
Yeah, that's, I was trying to remember where it was, but there
Lake
were a lot
Chodakee.
along that stream,
Well, one thing is, in the beginning, they couldn't find many beavers because the Dutch had taken almost every lodge apart and taken the beavers. And there are some beavers, we call them banker beavers, where they will build their lodge in the bank. So even when they make the dam, the water won't cover their lodge. Or they will go just into the bank and make a hole in there, and they will live under the bank if it's a nice big tall bank. And the banker beavers are what we have now. So a lot of times you'll go down a stream and you see either half a bank, I mean half a lodge on a bank, but they're really in the bank. They're banker beavers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions, comments? Beaver experiences?
So what's the downside to making those lakes when the stream is gone? I mean, what gets ruined when the stream is gone?
Well, the stream is really good for fish and moving fish around from one location to another. But if you have a pond, you have a home for everything.
All right,
Now,
those-
once the hurricane went through, it took everything out. But you know, the birds are the ones that bring the fish back. Birds will go and walk around the edge of other ponds and streams. And have you ever watched a heron fly up with all the seaweed on its feet?
Yes.
Well, there could be fish eggs in there. And when they go land somewhere else, they move fish. That's how a lot of trout get moved around, by the eggs in the seaweed.
Yeah, so I guess the problem with the beaver dam is if they put it in a place where humans are depending on having dry land, like that road that they flooded, or someone's got a house, or if it was a navigable stream, you could canoe down, and now they've dammed it.
Yeah. But now you would have a lake.
Right. But a portage.
Yeah.
I have a question about the lakes. Like after they dam it, do they regulate how much water's coming out so the lake just doesn't continually increase in size?
Oh, the dam basically oozes. They don't leave a port or an opening. And if we get a lot of rain, it'll go over the dam.
Okay. Makes sense.
But they pretty much block it off. Downstream from where the dam is, there's still probably the stream would be about a quarter the size after the beavers finish. And if you ever want to, if you go to a dam site and you want to see a beaver, I'm not telling you to do this, but if you were to open the dam up enough so water started rushing out of it, the beavers would be there in about 20 minutes because they hear the water or they feel it with their whiskers, the vibration,
Mm,
the water, the sound in the water, they can pick that up. And that's how they also would find each other. With their swimming and their tail moving back and forth makes a disturbance in the water, and they would hear that or feel it with their whiskers. So we have tried that to see how many beavers were in an area, and we opened up part of the dam, and within 20 minutes, the beavers showed up. They
Wow.
weren't happy.
nice.
So we know that they don't move the mud on their tails, but so how
No,
do they get mud onto their dams and their lodges?
they go in front of the dam. I'm sorry, behind the dam, they dig and they bring the mud up and put it on top of the dam. So they mix it up with the dirt and the rocks and the sticks so that it makes a good solid dam.
So they basically, I mean, the sticks I can imagine they carry in their mouths, but how
Yeah.
do they move? How do they move rocks and mud?
Well, they just take their hands and,
Okay,
but they dig right behind the dam. Now,
Okay.
if you had noticed in the pictures when the dam broke from the hurricane,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was a whole embankment of mud behind the dam, and in front of that was a deep hole. So they just
Okay.
dig it right in front of the dam and throw it right on the dam.
Okay, so basically they're just as kind of like a dog digging as
Exactly.
it digs, it throws the earth up behind it. The beavers are doing something similar.
Well, you saw their hands. The hands are really great. They grab those nails are really sharp, and they can dig in the mud.
Yeah.
But that's not hard. The mud's wet, and they just pack it in the hands and dump it on the dam.
How many beavers are there in the park?
Oh, I think we had 67 at the most.
So my question is, does a dam ever become too crowded? And then what do you do if it is too crowded?
Well, the dam is private. A pair would create it. And then when they have kids at 2 years old, they're like, get out, go build your own dam spot. And they will, if they're single, they will build their own lodge. But when they mate, then they will go up and they start a dam to create their own little safety thing, because their lodge would be in an area upstream, and as the water rises, the water surrounds it. So they make an island basically.
Yeah.
But they continually build their lodge. They're always working on it, always building it.
Do we have any idea how the beaver population today compares with how it was before the Dutch came in, and then followed by everyone else who was hunting beavers?
They pretty much wiped out all the beavers that weren't bankers.
Okay,
That's why we still have beavers.
but so there are 67 beavers in Sterling Forest now. Do you have anyone have any estimates of how many there would have been before the Dutch? Would it have been a larger population, do you think?
Oh, it would have been more everywhere. There would have been a lot of beavers everywhere.
I mean, obviously, a lot of the land around here has been built on and is no longer.
Yeah. Wherever there
suitable
was
for
a
beavers,
stream,
but-
wherever you find a really good flowing stream, that would be a great place for a beaver.
Mhm. There are-
I'm sorry.
Are there hands? Are they actually considered hands or paws?
They don't have thumbs, you know.
Posable, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like it'd be paws, but those big nails can really dig. If you get near a beaver, they move faster than you do, and they can scratch you, and get a hold of you, and then sink those teeth in you.
Well, I just was curious whether they're really called hands or whether that's what you
Oh,
call
they're
them.
paws. They're called paws. Yeah.
Oh, have you ever been chased by a beaver?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Were you able to run faster than your companion?
Actually, I jumped in the water and ran away. Those pictures of the inside of the lodge is where I actually went in a lodge. We had really low water, but what I did, I took my camera and stuck the camera in the lodge and took the picture before I went in the lodge because I did not want to go in there with a beaver. But I was climbing on a lodge one time, and two beavers came out and climbed up the lodge right behind me, and they make this hissing noise like, and I just ran off because he came right up to me, the one.
and you jumped in the water?
Yeah, I did.
They didn't chase you into the water?
Well, the water was only up to like my hips.
Oh, okay. So you could truck out of it.
Yes, no, let me rephrase. I ran into the water.
Okay. Doc, I have a question. What else do they eat?
You've seen lily pads. They'll eat the stem.
Okay.
And water type plants that have that green stem, they'll eat that. And that's about it. But they go for the sap that's in the bark.
And is
Okay.
it just really bad for the trees?
Oh, it kills the tree. If you took all the bark off, it's gone. But then, because of their being our largest rodent, they will chew the tree until it falls down. I mean, they don't chew it until it falls. They'll chew it, come back, chew it, come back, chew it. Then the wind will take the tree down. And then they cut all the branches off and use those branches.
Okay, so welcome, Martin. We've Doc's finished his presentation. You can catch the recording later, but we're doing Q&A. So if you have any questions on beavers, unmute yourself.
In the fall, they start cutting down small trees. And the reason for that is they take those and stick them in the mud next to the lodge. So they can come out and go from their lodge. The entrance is underwater, so they can go in, come out and grab sticks from the mud. Then they'll climb up top and chew the bark on those.
What's the life expectancy of a beaver?
In captivity, 25 to 30 years.
Oh, wow.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the wild, do you think it's less?
Coyote
Yeah.
would grab one. Otters will take a baby one, but they won't mess with a full grown. I guess a mountain lion would, or a bobcat.
But once they're in the lodge, they're pretty
Yeah, once
safe from,
yeah.
except only otters would
Yeah,
get in there, right?
because they'd have to go down and go in the right through the
Yeah.
water.
So their defense from predators is to go back into the lodge.
Right, or just go underwater. They don't really have any. In shallow water is the problem. If they're out in the forest cutting trees, they got to be watching what's around behind them. Because that's when a coyote or bobcat would take a small one. A bobcat's not going to take on a full-grown beaver. They're 75, 80 pounds.
Is
How
there
many-
only one kind of beaver in America?
I'm sorry?
Is there only one kind of beaver?
Only one kind of beaver? Yes.
And how often do you, a couple of your pictures were roadkill. Is that common in Sterling Forest or?
Not too common. I've only seen 2 dead
Okay.
from the road.
Doc, can you just describe the highway? I kind of missed the concept of the highway with them.
Beaver Highway.
The Beaver highways you showed.
Okay, they'll cut brush and they drag it into the pond. So they've got their way to get into the forest near the pond.
Oh, it's like a little boardwalk for them. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? That then they can walk from
Right.
the lake.
When you walk around the pond, you'll see like a little muddy highway that comes out of it. Probably
Okay.
about a foot to 18 inches wide. And that's where they've gone and cut trees. In the fall is when you really see it active because they're gathering the stuff to stick in the mud next to their lodge on the water. So they're in and out of that pond.
Okay, so Joan had a question in the chat. I'm not sure if we sort of answered this in the discussion. I didn't notice it right away. It was, does a dam ever become too crowded with beaver?
Oh, the dam, no, it's like a private family. It's theirs.
Yeah.
So it's just the family, mom and dad, and the kids. So there
that-
could be 3 to 4 babies and the parents.
Okay,
But
so
then every year they'll have more babies, and then when the babies are 2 years old, they're out.
so a litter is 3 or 4,
Yeah,
and then once a year,
once a year.
and then what sort of survival rate do you think?
I don't know. Well, in Sterling Forest, because we lack that many, we have bobcats in Sterling Forest and coyotes, no mountain lions. Further upstate, there are mountain lions. So it all depends on what predators are there.
Yeah, but in theory, the population is doubling every year if all the infants survive.
Yep, yep. And they
But,
keep moving up the stream.
Yeah.
They have taken people and given permits for them to come in and hunt the beaver to try and maintain the herd, so to speak.
So
But you need a permit to hunt a beaver. And they restrict that very much because the beavers are a gift to the other animals because they maintain that water source.
have there
And-
ever been situations where people have moved beavers into an area to reintroduce them?
Yes, yes. High Point State Park, when I was a Cub Scout, we brought beavers in to that area because they needed beavers really bad. And they're still there.
Okay. Other
So if
questions?
you have an area where there's mountain lions or a lot of coyotes, the beaver population is going to go down. So then you would have a place. Go to Sterling Forest, get some 2-year-olds, and bring them up there.
Hope they're smarter than the last lot.
But we don't have very many mountain lions. I was also the guy who would take the mountain lion reports and go do investigations. And we found 2 mountain lions in Harriman. One was declawed and had been hit by a car. And the other one, which had been hit by a car, did a DNA and it was from North Dakota.
Oh,
So it was a male and they travel around looking for females. Say hi. So they're not common around here. Not saying they can't be because the one from North Dakota walked all the way down to New York.
You think so, or you think somebody, when it was a cub, took it as a pet and then let it loose?
Well, the one that was declawed was definitely a pet.
Yeah.
I just have a comment for everybody. It's like the latest online little video sharing service. It's called TikTok. And I only know it because I have teenagers, right? But if you're around anyone, maybe over the holidays, they have one person has a pet baby beaver. So it shows some of the different things that this pet baby beaver's doing as it's in its house and stuff. And one of the real cute things is it's trying to build little dams out of the stuff that's in the house, like shoes or different things. So it's really cute. People can search it, if you're ever with, I only do it because of my kids, but it's really funny. It's a little baby beaver, and they take him out and he gets playtime in like the swimming pool and stuff. So it's really cute.
If you want to see a beaver, Bear Mountain has at the zoo. They have beavers.
Big. They hibernate, don't they?
They semi-hibernate. If it's really, really cold, they're sleeping. But say you get a warm few weeks in the winter, they'll wake up, they'll come out, and they'll go in the water and have lunch. They'll have those sticks that they stored in the mud. That's like a bear. Bears don't hibernate, they torpor. That means that they will sleep when it's really, really cold, but if it gets warm, they come out. Except for the female. The female will go into a deep sleep.
There's a mountain lion.
Yep. In
And
the W window, there's a mountain lion in search of a baby.
and she'll go into a deep sleep if she's pregnant. And that way the babies will feed off of her fat. But if she's not pregnant, when the weather gets warm, she'll come out. Many times in, you have a week or 2 weeks of warm weather in the winter, the bears are all out. And that's called torpor. So they don't hibernate.
Hey, other questions?
Doc, did you ever put anything together on mountain lions? That seems like that would be a really interesting subject as well.
No, there's been, I started doing something like that and the thumb was put on my head.
Yeah, that always puts a damper on things.
Yeah.
But there's,
I have a question a little bit off the subject, but are you doing hikes at all or not during this time?
No, we had to, the parks, if you've been to any of the parks on the weekend, it's crazy. We tried to do that, but we walked down the trail and it's like shoulder to shoulder with people in every direction. And we're like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I find that too in Harriman and Palisades and other places.
Now, my wife and I, we hike 2 to 3 times a week during the week. And what I'm doing is research. For Sterling Forest, we're building a new trail. And the Kutz Trail, you know about the Kutz camp in Warwick? It was a Jewish camp called Kutz, and the town of Warwick purchased it. So my wife and I are designing a hiking trail for it.
Oh,
And it's going to become a place for hikers and campers and education. And it's, check it out, it's going to be really, really cool.
Thank you.
is it still called Kutz?
Kutz, K-U, no, now it's, well, they took the sign down, so I don't know what Warwick's going to call it. They just purchased it. But they'll know if you say Kutz. And it's really great that they got it. It's like, 90 acres of great camp.
Beautiful.
It's over by Wawayanda on the other side of the highway or the road.
good to know, because we usually go to Waverly Yonder at least once in the season to paddle. So
Yeah. My wife and I go there. I live in Hewitt, and my backyard is Wawayanda.
oh, that's good.
So,
Yeah, I live in Hewitt too.
Yeah. Well, cool. Hanover Road. And it's really a great place. But I hope you like bears. The bears.
I got some stories for you.
Yeah.
But Camp Kutz is on Bowen Road.
Right.
Yep.
And right next to it, I'm trying to connect the trail to Fuller Mountain, which is another park, and it does an overlook of the town of Warwick from the top of the mountain. It's really a
Yep.
nice place to go.
Right, right.
And also the Appalachian Trail is about half a mile from the camp. And I want to see if they'll let me make the trail to connect the Appalachian Trail to the Kutz camp. And then you could hike the trail, come and stay in the cabins, and go over to Fuller Mountain or back to the Appalachian to continue your quest.
Oh, that would be great for the through hikers because right now they're camping out at the Warwick Drive-In.
Yep. So it'd be
So the town's going to keep the camp buildings as a
Oh, yeah.
campsite.
yeah, it's great. There's 2 theaters in the area, and there's a art studio and art area, so to be able to use that. Lots of opportunity. It was really good that they purchased it. The camp was used, but they couldn't afford it anymore, so Warwick purchased it.
Let's hope the town can afford to keep it open and up.
That'd be great.
Okay. Well, it's interesting additional news. Any other questions or comments?
Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Okay.
It
You
was
see how
great.
you see how I hate to share what I've learned.
Thank you.
Thanks,
That
Doc.
was really
So I'm
nice.
going to stop the recording, but then we'll just stay on for one more minute.